Thank you so much. The other day, I was driving in my car listening to Democracy Now! On the radio. Amy Goodman was reporting from COP27 in Egypt and shared a soundbite from Anthony Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations. Our planet, he said, is still in the emergency room. I did not exactly stop in the middle of the traffic, but if I had, the head of the United Nations would have certainly forgiven me for it. It was 6 days after I had gotten my kind invite from Hafsa Girdap to speak at Freedom Convention 2022. I couldn't help but murmur to myself, if our planet, our only home, is in the emergency room, where is Turkey? Or to be more specific, those of us who hail from that unhappy land. Other questions followed. Should I write my will? Would it even matter? Should I call my loved ones in Kurdistan, Turkey, and tell them of my tear-soaked love without hugs? If a conscientious reporter were nearby and saw me bidding farewell and later asked, now that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, can you forgive the author of your woes, Mr. Ataturk, or his successor, Mr. Erdogan? Can Kurds forgive Mr. Ataturk? Can Turks forgive Mr. Erdogan? Our fellow panelists are about to submit their report cards. If they tell us of torture in emergency room, not by doctors, but by civil servants, please forgive them for their blood-dripping stories. In telling us about torture, they don't want us to enjoy human suffering. They want us to help them end it. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way, says Leo Tolstoy in the opening sentence of his famous novel, Anna Karenina. Turkey, alas, is rich with unhappy families. For a long time, they all had Kurdish addresses. Now the Turks are competing with us in this sad and unholy business. Maybe there are happy families in Turkey. Can they really be happy when their government, supposedly speaking on their behalf, keeps the Kurdish language, the mother tongue of at least 20 million Kurds, on a suffocating leash? My tale, as you have guessed it by now, is a Kurdish one. It starts on a hopeful note, but ends on a sad one. Mine is the task to keep it alive, not because I love collecting and holding on to sad stories, but because if I share them, there is a chance we may be able to put an end to their repetition in our lifetimes or that of our children. Yes, we should do all our share to increase the number of happy families in our homelands. If Turkey had, let's say, 100 families and 60 of them were happy, I probably would not have met Hafsa Girdap. Whether Turks accept it or not, at least 25 of these families are Kurdish. Happy or unhappy, if they were honored with their proper name and had their civil rights, for example, the way French Canadians are equal to English Canadians, again, our paths would not have crossed. They have crossed. The Kurds have a Turkish problem. In forums like these, we do our best to offer solutions. Jill Lepore, an American historian, puts it best when she says, to study the past is to unlock the prison of the present. My musings are offered in that spirit. If they provide some clarity to our understanding of the Turkish-Kurdish conflict, I'll consider my efforts worthy of freedom's calling. Now, the tale. It's about a Kurdish student. He was born in 1956. His father was a merchant. His mother was a housewife. He grew up in a house with 5 brothers and 3 sisters. At elementary school, he took a liking to numbers. He played with them the way Messi plays with a soccer ball. While still in junior high, he qualified to one of the best high schools in Diyarbakir, his provincial capital. At home, he had done his homework under the light of a kerosene lamp. Now he had electricity in his dorm room, which meant more time to play with numbers and apply them to complicated equations in mathematics and science. At home, he had a mud floor and cold water from the communal fountain. Now his room had a cement floor and hot water, which meant additional hours for studying English and dreaming of places behind mountains. One day, one of his favorite teachers told him of a scholarship in America. It was offered to about 3,000 bright students across the world. The recipient would attend an American high school and stay with an American family for a year. High school juniors could apply for it. He urged him to do so and helped him fill out his application form. Question 20 asked if the student spoke any other language. The teacher wrote, "I don't know any other language." The teacher knew the Kurdish student spoke another language. The teacher lied because he loved his Kurdish student. What happens to a state when its teachers are forced to lie? What happens to its students when they find out that their teachers had lied to them? What do you call a school system that embraces lies as its curriculum? In the spring of 1972, 68 Turkish students and 2 Kurdish students qualified for the American Field Service scholarships. The Kurdish student who had done his homework under the light of a kerosene lamp was one of them. No one that he knew had ever visited America. He was going to be the first, the Christopher Columbus of his hometown. In the 1972, he flew to New York. From there, he was put on a bus and sent to Pittsburgh. His host family was at the bus depot and welcomed him with smiles and flowers. They took him to Oakmont, their hometown. He was to attend Riverview High School. He was to represent the Turks and Turkey in his classrooms, in the public forums, and at his family. He was a gregarious type and happy to do so. Question 20 of his application form, for which his teacher had lied, confronted him anew. How many languages did the Kurdish student know? He told his host family, in addition to Turkish, he also knew Kurdish, plus a dialect of Kurdish, Zazaki. His host family was puzzled. Why hadn't the Turkish officials told him the truth? They had the easygoing and can-do attitude of ordinary Americans. They wrote to the AFS headquarters in New York and asked them for information about the Kurds. The AFS directed them to the Turkish consulate in Manhattan. The host family contacted the consulate as directed. A package brimming with information about the Turks and Turkey was sent to them, but nothing about the Kurds. A letter was sent to the Kurdish student in Turkish that contained these words. As you well know, many peoples have come together to forge the Turkish culture and Turkish people. Therefore, we don't question our origins. We all say, I'm a member of the Turkish nation. Please inform your host mom accordingly. The letter went on. Also, how come you didn't contact us directly about this issue? I could go on, but I'm running out of my allotted time. The Kurdish student was my late brother, Azamettin Gündüz, who eventually settled in the United States and changed his name to Adam Pasori. Pasori is the Kurdish name of our hometown. The Turkish official who chided my brother was Adnan Özaktaş. I got curious and did a search on him. I found out that his father apparently had fought in the First World War against the Aussies and the New Zealanders in Çanakkale. Kurds served in that war too as allies of Turks, and some of them may have been his father's friends. About his father, Mr. Özaktaş says, one thing I know for sure, he never felt enmity towards his former foes. The father felt no enmity towards Aussies and New Zealanders because he followed the dictates of his conscience. His son could not tolerate the very name of the Kurds because his conscience was taken captive by the racism of Mr. Ataturk. One American family was puzzled. Multiply that by 40 million Kurds. The secret to happy families is love. The secret to happy countries is the same. Happy families have enriched our lives. Happy countries that practice truth, cultivate love, and serve all humanity have, alas, been beyond our reach. Ralph Waldo Emerson once noted, the only way to have a friend is to be one. Echoing the same sentiment, the author of Anna Karenina said, everybody thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves. The Russian embraced love and urged everyone to do the same. Gandhi and Dr. King heard and heeded Tolstoy and changed the world for the better. It is the only thing that can redeem us from our follies and may even discharge our planet from the emergency room. Thank you.